Old people! Old people in love! Finally, there are two Simpsons episodes about Grandpa's romantic prospects. And by finally, I mean produced 20 years ago. By TV standards, these episodes feel almost as old as Grandpa. So let's get to it. Old Money versus Lady Bouvier's Lover. The long-awaited grudge match between B. Simmons and Jacqueline Bouvier. Which is the better episode? So you might be wondering, why Old Money versus Lady Bouvier's Lover? Well, obviously because they're both episodes in which Otto drives senior citizens on a bus. Also something about Grandpa feeling lonely or thirsty or something like that. But seriously though, this is a unique showdown because even though they share similarities in premise, they are produced in radically different eras of the show. Old Money in Down to Earth Season 2, and Lady Bouvier's Lover in the, well, insane wackiness that is Season 5. As always, we'll start with age before beauty. This is the case for Old Money. Okay, so I know what your objections to Old Money might be as an episode. You might be thinking, it's just that stuffy episode about Grandpa from Season 2, and by me saying it's down to earth, that's just code for slowly paced. How dare you? But I would contend that, at least compared to the other episode, Old Money is basically Citizen Kane in terms of its storytelling. It is a meaningful story told about characters we love. Actually, maybe Citizen Kane isn't a good comparison. Maybe it's more like It's a Wonderful Life. But anyway, the first reason why Old Money is superior is because it has better characters. I think a lot of this comes from the choice for Grandpa's romantic interest. B. Simmons is an infinitely more compelling character than Jacqueline Bouvier. Audrey Meadows delivers an absolutely dynamite performance here, giving Bea a warm and caring personality. She and Grandpa have charming conversations together and enjoy a musical montage, so you'd understand why he'd be so smitten for her. The other episode has Julie Kavner graveling her way through an elderly character, while the writers try to figure out what her personality is. Then there's secondary characters like Homer. In Old Money, Homer tiptoes the line of being totally negligent and oblivious, but also genuinely caring that Grandpa is mad at him. When Grandpa's gonna gamble away his money, Homer gets genuinely concerned and swoops in to save the day. In the other episode, aside from giving some dating tips, Homer makes it clear he doesn't really care either way. Furthermore, Marge and the rest of the family members are merely supporting characters, more involved in Bart's B-plot. In Old Money, I really enjoy how Lisa in particular is portrayed as kind of childish and bratty still, but ultimately comes around and delivers a genuinely thoughtful piece of advice. I would argue that Lisa's speech is more thoughtful and coherent than anything in the other episode. Speaking of which, that's point number 2 for this case. Old Money is superior because its story is more coherent. Which is kind of sad because the third act of Old Money has Grandpa fielding money ideas and then going to a casino, and is visited by a ghost. But the other episode is just so all over the place. It is practically bouncing off the walls. Someone take away its coffee. Old Money's story follows in a logical manner. First, Grandpa being unsatisfied by his family, balanced out by his budding relationship with Bea. Then, after she passes, trying to figure out what to do with the money, while figuring out how to make himself happy. There's a self-esteem theme here, where Grandpa struggles with how his family and the retirement castle treats him. First they don't care, but then when he gets money, he's suddenly getting weird rub-down offers. Ew. Throughout the episode, they go out of their way to show how run down and awful his living conditions are. It underlines these themes and ties together with the ending of the episode. You can see the care put in to make sure Old Money feels like a full package. Overall, Old Money just has to be the superior episode because it's more meaningful than the other one. Like the other episode, I don't care about it in the slightest. In fact, I forgot its name for a moment when researching this project. There are almost zero stakes to it, and the story therefore leads to zero lasting impact. It's just a bunch of stuff that happened. Old Money, on the other hand, actually makes a point about the elderly and the way we treat them sometimes. It may be a little too schmaltzy and corny in its presentation at the end, but I will prefer an earnest expression of an idea any day of the week. And that's basically it for Old Money, the more coherent and meaningful episode filled with better characters. Now let's open our big book of pop culture references, because this is the case for Lady Bouvier's lover. Alright, so I think it's real cute how the other episode touts its storytelling and characterization and things like that. Like, it all sounds super intellectual, like it's the centerpiece of a 20-page research paper. But what the other episode forgets sometimes is that The Simpsons is a comedy show, and if it isn't full of laughs, the rest of it doesn't matter. Lady Bouvier's Lover is the better episode because, simply put, it's funnier than the other one. I'm not even going to preface this by saying the other one has better character humor, and this one's more wacky and referential. The jokes in this episode are just better. Watching these two back to back really shows how things change between Season 2 and Season 5. The episode opens with a Sideshow Mel joke with monkeys playing kazoos and ultimately attacking him. And this probably isn't the most random and absurd part. It's almost mesmerizing how completely all over the place the jokes are sometimes. It bounces around from Armour hot dogs and Chicken Tonight references, throws in Charlie Chaplin and Jimmy Durante homages, complete with lawyers, hands Bart a Mary Worth phone, gives a shout out to the Flintstones, and ends in a parody of The Graduate. Also referenced to Judge Reinhold, but who knows who that is. Lady Bouvier's Lover comes from the last exit to Springfield School of Comedy, just putting characters together in funny situations, letting them play off of each other, and throwing in a few references for good measure. It's not a complicated formula, it's just supposed to be fun. What, it's not McGaggy's birthday? It ends up leading to a much faster-paced episode, always pushing forward to a new scenario. It understands that the individual moments don't need to be dwelled upon. We get our mileage out of Maggie's birthday, let's move on to the Jackie and Grandpa stuff. Now let's bring in Mr. Burns and play around with that dynamic for a while. Look at how pouty and pissed off Smithers gets. Hilarious. It's almost as if the writers were well aware that a Jacqueline Bouvier love story was a hard sell to the audience, so they opted to keep things brisk. No offense to the Bouvier matriarch, but I think they made the right choice. Marge, Patty, and Selma are much better at nuance, and could support a slower-paced and character-driven affair. Lady Bouvier's Lover is smart because they basically just put her in the center and let all the craziness revolve around her. And finally, I would say that Lady Bouvier's Lover is better because it features a fun B-plot. Having a B-plot isn't inherently a positive attribute, of course, but this one is pretty memorable and fits the episode well. It contributes to the general breeziness of the plot, adds some hilarious little character interactions, and even manages to intersect with the main story. They've done better B-plots, of course, but this one is solid and is in the plus column in this evaluation. And there you have it, the case for Lady Bouvier's Lover. It's the funnier, more fast-paced episode with a solid B-plot to boot. In a comedy like The Simpsons, that should count for something. Let's go to the verdict. So here we are, the moment of truth. Two ladies stand before Grandpa Simpson, the charming B. Simmons and the, gravelly Jacqueline Bouvier. Which way should we go? For me, Old Money feels like one of those episodes that does a lot of things well, but nothing particularly great. I like B and Grandpa together, I like his relationship with Homer and how that changes. I also think the episode is sneaky funny and slipping in odd innuendos or just absurd premises. The Lion Safari is fun in its dumpiness and how messed up the trip becomes. I think in later seasons, this set piece would have been expounded upon for bigger jokes. It's just, there are other episodes that pack a little more emotional punch that are also filled with good characters. Old Money is solid, but not super remarkable. Lady Bouvier's Lover is the opposite. It's basically something that does one thing pretty well, namely its jokes, and everything else doesn't matter. I don't give one flying obscenity about Abe and Jacqueline. Honestly, this is just a vehicle for jokes. And the jokes are good. It's not a top-tier funny episode or anything, and probably is a little overindulgent with its references, but as a whole, very funny episode. Sensible chuckles all the way through. So, if I had to pick only one episode, I think I would go with Lady Bouvier's Lover. Pretty close call here, but I'm gonna go with the episode that makes me laugh. Old Money is solid and all, but I don't think it quite gets there in making me feel strongly about it. It has to juggle 3 different angles. 1, Grandpa's relationship with Bea and her passing. 2, his evolving relationship with his son. And 3, Grandpa figuring out what to do with the inheritance. Bea and Grandpa's relationship is fairly short, and they don't dwell or get super introspective with Grandpa's grief. They're trying to make a much larger point about the way we treat the elderly, so they can't let things get super heavy. I wonder if maybe Homer is the problem here, and minimizing his importance would tighten things up a little. Adding a father and son plotline might be too many angles for this story to support. I don't know. Because Old Money doesn't quite hit that emotional impact for me, I had to go with the episode that makes me laugh. I don't want to make this decision completely about Old Money because Lady Bouvier's Lover does have a ton of great laughs in it. I laugh every time Grandpa jumps over that couch in terror, or how everyone seems to be perfectly fine with punching a 10-year-old boy in the face. Great stuff. So that's where I landed for this showdown. Lady Bouvier's Lover is the superior episode. Do you think I made the right choice, or should I have gone in a different direction? Let me know in the comments. But for now, this case is closed.